From Vox Markets, I'm Francesca Morgan. Today I'm joined by consumer home testing healthcare company, MyHeathChecked. And with me today I have Penny McCormick, CEO of the company, and Bhavika Patel, who's product specialist of the company and co-founder of the Genome Store. Thank you both for joining me.
No problem. Morning, Fran.
Morning, Fran.
Morning. So as I understand it, you're currently in the process of evolving from a healthcare group focused more on women's fertility, and you're transitioning into a broader at-home testing offering. Can you explain how the company started and what it is trying to do through this transition?
Absolutely, no problem, Fran. So Concepta historically, and just reminding at this point, I joined the business at the end of 2019. So by that point, Concepta had already, established itself as a developer of lateral flow products for women who are looking to conceive. A really excellent product that really it gives women a very specific answer to when they're going to ovulate. So a product there, of really high value to those women. But the product was in development for a while. It tests quantitative LH, and it also confirms pregnancy with it as well. But actually, the fertility space is a great market to be in. It's a growing market, and it's an area where, of course, as couples increasingly decide to have children later on and want to know as much information as they can before perhaps they need to go for IVF. So a very, very important market. But actually, we really wanted to expand our reach out beyond just fertility. We're still extremely interested within that space and intend to bring other products that are very valuable to those women. But actually, beyond that, and thinking about family health moving forward, that's really a space that we see a great opportunity as customers at home are increasingly looking to convenient methods to really take control of their healthcare. So that's really what's led to this transition at this time.
And how would you say the new company name reflects this change? Because I imagine for most investors, that will be sort of the most obvious change right away.
Sure, it's quite symbolic. So Concepta Diagnostics is a superb name for the business, but it does have connotations with conception, and really just as described there, we want to be more than that. Moving forward, we've seen such a shift in the last 10 to 11 months, really, in particular, with how people are really interacting with healthcare products from at home. So we felt that Concepta name really kind of kept us in that space. So we wanted to mark that change. We think that the MyHealthChecked brand is talking about checking, but it's also talking about, ticking a box and really allowing you as a customer, to really take control and, tick that healthcare box and make the right decisions.
That makes perfect sense. So the company now holds two diverse at-home testing brands in its portfolio, MyHealthChecked and Mylo. Can you explain a bit about these two brands and how they are separate?
So the two brands are different, but with the potential to interact with one another and be extremely complementary. So Mylo is very, very specifically targeting women, and also there's a connection there with their partners as well, and it allows them that convenience at home to check. But moving forward with this new portfolio that we bring now, we will be looking to develop products within that space. The brands at this point are separate, but we think that gives us scope in future to potentially bring them together. And that could, for instance, look like Mylo by MyHealthChecked, for example.
Right, and just touching on a relatively recent milestone, you acquired the Genome Store in November. Mm-hmm. And you have described the acquisition as something that's going to be integral to growing the company's product portfolio into other areas that are separate from just female health fertility. How will this acquisition enable you to do this exactly? And what progress have you seen so far?
So the new product development pipeline is going to be key to us moving forward. Historically, where we've used lateral flow, lateral flow has a good amount of development time. You're dealing with reagents that can be unpredictable, for example. And actually, what the DNA testing business does is gives us the ability to bring products to market much, much quicker. So the team works in a very focused way to quite a short development timeline, and that allows us to be extremely agile and bring products through within a relatively short space of time, which has, that's twofold. It means we can be extremely agile with bringing new products to the market and doing that regularly. But it also means, for instance, if something's not working, then actually, we can move on from that relatively quickly, and we're not in that really lengthy supply chain. So there's a place for both. But actually what that gives us now is that ability to respond quite quickly. And what that's meant for us since November, gosh, it feels like an awfully long time ago, but actually since November and getting that partnership with the team and bringing that expertise into our business has meant that we've been able to launch our own COVID test into the marketplace, which we did in December. So with a very quick turnaround, this is a product where we buy the reagent kit in from elsewhere and some of those components, but with the experience that we've got within our team now, we've been able to really go through and build the process and the infrastructure for that, the service provision, the interface with the customer, and really get that out to market very quickly. With that then, we were able to secure our position on the government provider list, which we achieved on December the 24th. So that gave us a huge amount of kudos, and it was an incredible achievement actually, just within a month from acquiring the business. And in addition to that then, we're building our pipeline already. So the team is busy developing our products, the first of which are going to launch at the end of this first quarter.
That's great. Now, just before we touch on the product pipeline, you talked a little bit about your team. As I understand it, you seem to have a strong team, both on the scientific side and the retail side. What kind of strategy will need to be in place in order to ensure that you capture a significant growth market from your consumers?
Sure. So I think, important to us moving forward, and of course to our investors as well, is that word agile, which I touched on. We are a lean operation, and it's important that we continue to be that. So, really having a strong selection and recruitment process around the talent that we bring into the team is going to be critical. We're a business starting out now into a new space in many ways. So you're looking for a team that's really up for that opportunity, and the challenges that come with that as well. We've got a lot of great technical experience within the business, but that then needs to be equally matched with the ability to commercialize. So whilst our team is agile, we're able to cherry pick from specialists, whether it's pay-per-click advertising, whether it's our backlinking strategy, whether it's innovative PR. So actually in the last 12 months, we've really built up quite a team there. So we'll continue to be extremely focused. New personnel joining the team is going to be really key in us delivering our goals, and making sure that we bring the right people on board is really going to underpin that ability to do that and deliver.
So you're transitioning from a company focused on fertility to something broader. In terms of your product roadmap, what does unlocking a greater opportunity look like here?
Sure. So it means, it's taking us from being, one piece of technology and 2 tests, and having the ability to really build that portfolio. And that's going to be key for our consumers, because consumers are looking for choice. They may approach us because they've got one health condition that they'd like to explore. And then when they come to our website, that choice there and that ability to increase their basket shop is going to be really relevant to them. But also, retail is a big part of our plan moving forward. Retailers, whether they're looking at taking a whole range or selecting part of that portfolio and building an ongoing rollout for them, we need to be really set up for that. So we already have a good customer base of women. We know that women, of course, make 80% of the buying decisions in the home, and that includes healthcare decisions as well. So our portfolio, as we roll it out, it will be relevant to the head of the female head of the household, but also it'll be focused around family health as well. So Bhavika, I don't know if you'd like to just chat through some of the other products that we're focused on in the coming month.
So that's a great question. I guess obviously, as Penny alluded to before, a lot of this has come from the Genome Store and as part of the acquisition. So myself and my co-members that sit on the Scientific Advisory Board, we've got a best part of 100 years experience in this space, very focused on molecular diagnostics. So we have lived and breathed it for quite a period of time. This was always a bit of a vision for us. We saw a bit of a gap in the market where we could take our skill sets and our experience and bring that into something that's a really robust product. And what we really needed, obviously, was someone to be able to help commercialize it, which is where this partnership has come together so well. And we have developed a pipeline of products already. We've then come together as a team as part of MyHealthChecked and really made that a more robust process. We have a gateway process where we actually look at customer requirement, we look at this technically, and we look at the clinical robustness, and as well how we move those forwards commercially. So we have a great line of products that already have a real need and acceptance in the market. So these are starting with things like intolerance, understanding nutrition, and then really moving into that focused female health space that's really complementary in this business.
That's great. And I assume the company views that as simply more of an extension of what products already exist, as opposed to being totally random, because of course, so female, male wellness, food intolerance, lifestyle testing, etc., it all links into one.
Absolutely, and what we are able to do, and going back to the fact of what Penny was saying about being agile, is to be able to come to us, come to the store, and be able to pick something that's actually appropriate for you. Some also giving you ideas of what you may want. So obviously you've got the female head of the house coming in, maybe looking for an intolerance test, but actually realizing that there may be something that's quite focused to their condition in female health, and being able to bring that together and actually really pick and choose. And that's something that some of the players and in the industry are not able to do at this time, and that's one of the areas that, as the Genome Store, we really saw a bit of a gap in the market for, and really wanted to explore and expand here.
That's great, and COVID's only driven that consciousness, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, as Penny said, I mean, the stats are unreal. Home testing is just a new norm, as normal as being on Zoom, I guess.
According to certain analysts, the pandemic has really changed the way in which consumers deal with their health, as you quite rightly pointed out. And this sentiment really seems to be at the heart of your transition. So what does the at-home testing market look like? And can you explain a bit more about the opportunity here in terms of growth?
Sure. So, the indications are that the at-home testing market is due to be growing to $16 billion, in the next 5 years. It's a space that it's been anticipated to grow for a long time. Certainly when I started out in the diagnostics industry back in 2005, there was a lot of talk there, around how the face of at-home testing was going to change. And that's really linked in with preventative healthcare and customers really taking control. But actually that transition has been a while coming, really. For a long time it was focused around diabetes and fertility products, for example, but now we're increasingly seeing customers using different kinds of tests and also looking at their healthcare in a different way. And the pandemic starting last year has of course really, really changed that. Customers are freely talking about lateral flow or swabs or PCR. They're needing, if they want to travel at the moment, they're having to get a test. They're seeing on the news every evening real life examples of how people's underlying health can really impact them in a different situation. So I think customers are going to think differently. We're liaising with one another at distance, and that includes people's healthcare interactions as well. So people are really doing that remotely. So I think, everything and what you've highlighted there, that the market is reporting is accurate. It's changed everything for us, and where we were moving in some of those directions, it's really going to expedite that process now. And that's why it's such an interesting time to be in this space.
And I understand the same goes for the genomics and the genetics testing sphere, which I understand up until recently has been relatively nascent in terms of progress, but has had a recent influx of investment. Do you think this is also likely to continue?
Yeah, I think so. DNA testing is a real accurate way of testing. You're dealing with their DNA, their blueprint. So it's a really reliable indicator. Deloitte do an annual survey, and their last study into consumer healthcare behaviours was May last year, and they noticed within that sort of that critical age group of around 20 to mid 50s that around 40% of people are comfortable using DNA tests at home, and that's significant. When we think about the industry, that up until about 2018, the number of at-home DNA tests was really quite small, and of course that market has been opened up by some of those big players that have had multi-million dollars worth of investment in them. But yeah, it's becoming really recognised by the end users, and yes, we really think that will build.
You've also stated that your product pipeline is to be timed in order to accommodate immediate COVID growth opportunities. Can you explain what this looks like exactly?
Sure. So since we launched the product just last month, and it's been a real success for us. It's been a good little revenue generator for our business, and generating revenue was really important for us, certainly with an eye on our shareholders and looking to really build that value for us. So what we know about our customer base, that they are travellers. Over 95% of them are travelling, whether that's coming into the country and using the test and release programme, and really navigating that new space, or leaving the UK. We're in a lockdown at the moment, so there's that element of unpredictability with it, but the vaccine is certainly giving people a lot more confidence within that space. So we were just delighted to be able to launch the product, to start seeing that daily revenue coming in on a daily basis. We know that in discussions at Davos this week, some of the big diagnostic leaders have been very open that the expectation of gold standard PCR testing is going to be here for quite a while yet, certainly till at least 2022. So even though there's such great steps being taken around the vaccine and the ability to get us out of this situation, I think those border requirements are going to continue. I think people are going to start be thinking about getting their teams back to work this year. So yeah, there's certainly we see a solid amount of business to continue to be done within that space.
And can you just, for those who aren't familiar with the recent launch, could you just touch on the COVID lab-based test and its significance to the business?
Yeah, sure. So, as I said, they're really fun. It's an excellent product. It's 99.9% accuracy. It's the gold standard, and it meets all of the requirements of airlines, of countries that are inviting people from Britain in, and also significantly from the government perspective as well. So we've met all of the criteria there. It's an important product for us, but it's the starting point, and it was a product that we wanted to really kick off this new phase of our business. The future strategy of MyHealthChecked is not reliant on the COVID product. However, it really is a starting point. We're very much about a much wider, broader healthcare offering, and really helping people to take control of their own personal health and empower them to make the right decisions. But yeah, as a starting point, it's allowed us to be known, to build a customer base quickly, and really get that government approval, and just really mark that we've arrived into a new space. That's
great. And like you said, the space is gaining popularity. So naturally, how would you say the company is going to differentiate itself from competitors? And in line with that, what's the best strategy to capture market share in what might be considered a crowded market eventually?
Are we talking now in relation to COVID testing, or in general?
In general, or in COVID if you want, but since it's sort of...
I'll answer both, Fran. The COVID test space, I think the key there is providing excellent customer service is one part, and the other is being really compliant. So, the UCAS requirements to be able to process COVID tests are extremely stringent, and hitting those metrics and that due diligence at every step of the way is really critical. And we may well see, whilst the test list of approved providers has built, we may actually see that coming down now, because the requirements are chunky, as they should be. So that's the first point. Provide great customer service on the COVID product. Really, customers, it's quite a stressful purchase for them. They're traveling. It's an additional expense. There's quite a lot of tight requirements with it around timings. You know, you've got to test within 72 hours, for example, or if you're self-isolating, you know, you've got to really detail your schedule through, and you will be called upon. You know, you will get a phone call and you will have to verify all of that. So it's really strict. And then really that sets us up with everything we do, to be honest. You know, when you let that be the starting point, but let's follow that model for everything we do. Provide great customer service moving forward. You know, be extremely reliable, be extremely accurate, and do so in a way that's affordable to people. You know, you're giving them a piece of very specific advice. Let that be as accessible to them as possible. So, you know, we don't want to be charging people £100 here. We want to be able to make it accessible for families moving forward.
That's great. Now, today you had some exciting news out. The company announced its intention to raise around £3 million, which I imagine will enable you to advance your commercial activities and reach certain objectives this year. But can you just touch on the use of these proceeds more?
Yeah, sure. So main points there, Fran. You know, we will bring our products to the market. It's important for us that we establish a position there as the owner of a range of tests, and of course that commercialization as well, and really bringing, you know, high quality communications into the space. We need to build awareness because ultimately we are a new brand. And we're starting out in a new space. Consumers are very discerning. It's going to take us a little bit of time to build that profile. So being extremely focused on that is going to be key for us. I touched already on, you know, the requirement to bring new people into our organisation that are really going to complement the existing team and really take that portfolio forward for us. So, and of course, you know, our standard running costs as a PLC need to be covered. So, you know, we've got, we'll be investing in the range and the infrastructure there. That's going to allow us to really target new distribution channels as well, and really make sure that once we open those up, you know, we've got the supply chain to really be able to provide those into our customers.
And would you say this is the current focus for the management team, really?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're launching a new portfolio. We're launching a new brand. We're already in talks with retailers, you know, and how we adapt to that. And we're very experienced in doing that. But one thing is offering our product through direct to the consumer. You know, we've got that infrastructure set up already. But actually, if we're looking at you know, retailers and what that involves, you know, we need to provide, and we want to provide the best service, excuse me, to some of our larger customers as well. So that's absolutely the focus. Build our portfolio, gain a reputation for great service. So again, the customer care team is going to be key moving forward, and then that investment in marketing, so that people really understand what we do and want to engage with us off the back of that.
That's great. And finally, just in terms of longer outlook, can you give us some indication of how this year and beyond will look for the company?
Sure. So yes, the real focus on that pipeline is in the sort of the short to medium term, and really establishing our position there. Beyond that, then we've got you know, the team has said is highly experienced, and that gives us a number of channels that we can really look to focus on. So there are some areas within the B2B space that we're really looking to home in on. Our first priority is the UK market. You know, we want to really establish ourselves in post-Brexit Britain, you know, as a really important player within this space, and really gain that reputation within the UK market. But outside of that, we know that there are opportunities to explore as well. You know, whether we are servicing other countries from the UK, even with the postage service, we can still do that in a good amount of time and bring, you know, efficient testing to the market space. So yeah, primarily really short-term focusing on the UK and that broader portfolio, which touches on, you know, real family healthcare, but also women's health as well. But beyond that, you know, we've got some great strategic opportunities there opening up, and that potential to go beyond the UK.
That's great. Well, it sounds like a really exciting space to be in. So thank you, Penny, and thank you, Bhavika, as well, for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks, Fran.
Thanks, Fran.